Well, boys and girls, it's time for another grading video. This time a little bit of an oddball stack. Everything in here is something that I'm fairly certain is not in your collection. Quite possibly it's things that you've never even seen before. But kind of the neat thing, everything in this stack is a first issue. So if sitting back and watching me grade a stack of comics like that is your idea of fun, well, stick around. You are about to have, oh my God, so much fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghala. My name is Duke, and yes, this is another grading video. But as I said in the teaser, these are all first issues, with the exception, I've got a number 3 of one of these Happy Days as well. But all kind of oddball books, things that probably are not in your collection. Now, as always, full disclosure, I am grading these books for work. These will be auctioned off on eBay under the username .com Comics. So please do like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If not, give it a big old thumbs down, leave nasty comments below. That's fine too. Whatever you feel like you need to do. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Now, I am going to have to adjust this light so that I can see, and I apologize that it is going to create a little bit of a glare on the camera for you from time to time. I apologize for that, but not really a lot I can do about it. So let's get right into it. Archie as PUREHEART, the powerful number 1, and this is 1966. So you know what? This book is actually older than me. And one problem right here, you can see right away, that cover is detached. So that brings us up to a kind of a technical dilemma, because how do you treat a book that has the cover detached? Now, online, I have seen all sorts of different opinions. There are some people that say that, well, you just grade it as you would normally, as it appears to be, and then knock off a grade or 2 for the cover being detached. I have seen some people say, well, you grade it as it would normally be, but you do it as a qualified grade, so meaning you give it the higher grade and then just note the major defect. And then there are some people who insist that a coverless book cannot possibly get higher than a 3.0. I've seen people claim that CGC itself will not give a book with a cover detached anything higher than a 3.0. But then again, I see people online who say, oh, no, I've got a book that's cover detached and CGC gave it a 4.5, blah, blah, blah. So what is the right answer? Well, I can't really tell you. All I can tell you is what I do and how I treat it. If it's an otherwise apparently high-grade book, meaning a 7.5 or above, then I will do that qualified bit. I will give it the grade it appears to be with a qualified notation. If it is anything, 7's kind of on the fence, but certainly 6.5 or lower, I will just incorporate the cover being detached. I'll incorporate that into the grade, and normally, depending on the grade of the book, I will knock off anywhere from 1.5 to as much as 2.5 points. Generally, the lower the grade, the less I will knock off, because, I mean, you can't take a book that's a 2.5, say you're going to knock off 2 points automatically, and now it's an 0.5. So, although there are some people say that, with a book that a cover is detached, that it can't be more than an 0.5. So, as I noted, all kinds of opinions. Well, as I said, how I will do it is, first look at how it appears to be. So, with the blown staples, and then you've got, well, it's not really a tear, but certainly a significant stress up here at the top, and some blunting, major blunting here, big old bend right there. And then on the back, we're kind of yellowed. We've got a paid stamp, some chips at the bottom. And then all along the top, and this for me is kind of the major defect. All along the top, we've got these series of micro tears. There's probably about 15 or 20 there. I don't know how well you can see them. And when I say micro tear, I mean like less than 1/8 of an inch. Now, the other thing I also do is look at how the book appears to be, if I was grading it as a coverless book. Because there are certainly people who will say that a book that has no cover can't be better than a 0.5. But I like to look at, how straight and square is it? How wrinkled is it? How, what do the staples look like? Does it have any tears? And that is in relatively good condition. That is, you know, not much worse. You know, you get a little 5 written here. I assume it's a 5. It could be an N or something, an M, an S. Hard to say. It meant something to somebody, I assume. Unless it was just a scribble to see, you know, is my pen working? But otherwise, it looks, you know, this looks to be in fairly good condition. So I don't think I will knock off any extra for that at least. So this book looks to me to be, you know, I would normally give this book, if the cover was attached, I'd say a 4.5. And I think for the cover being detached, I will end up knocking it down to probably about a 1.8. So you let me know in the comments below what you would do, but I'm going to call that a 1.8, and certainly note, you know, that the cover is detached. You know, we always put that in the description for the books on eBay. Give you a little look at what's inside. This would have come out actually when? Maybe just before or right at the start of the Batman craze, when all of the Archie characters got little spins as pretend superheroes. I forget what Reggie was supposed to be. He was the villain, and I can't remember what he was. Starts with E. Evil Heart, maybe? But anyway, we're going to call that a 1.8. All right, Badger, number 1, by Mike Baron. The New Color Badger from Capital Comics, and this came out in the 80s, 1983. So is that a book you're familiar with? Is it a character you would like to see revived today? Certainly there's a lot going on these pages, a lot more so than most modern books. Capital Comics itself didn't really last all that long. So let's get looking at the actual grade here. There are a couple of ticks along the spine, kind of some more down here. Most of them don't really break the color that badly. The sides look all nice and square. The back is still pretty white. You can see some color flaking along the spine and a little bit of a bigger tick right there. And there are some, I don't know how you can see it on the camera, but there are some kind of bumps right here. It doesn't feel like it's any kind of moisture or water damage, but it is something to be aware of. The pages are, you know, still fairly white, off-white maybe. But I think overall, I'm pretty comfortable with calling that and probably I'm getting it too close to the camera for it to focus. I'm trying to see it clearly, taking my glasses off and trying not to get the back of my head on the camera. I think I'm going to end up calling that an 8. There's really not much going on there that's really wrong with that. You know, it's just mainly some minor dings and no real dents, but, you know, the biggest thing is that little tiny tear there and a little blunting there. I think I can call that an 8. I could get really fussy and maybe make it a 7.5. Maybe I want to. I'm trying to see. Feels like that spine might be bent a little. But I think I'm going to call it an 8. Now, the Bionic Woman. How old are you? Did you watch the Bionic Woman on TV as a kid? This is 1977, Charlton Comics. And Charlton Comics were pretty notorious for being, let's say, not well manufactured. They had a printing press that, you know, came over on the Mayflower. And this actual book isn't that bad. I've seen some where, you know, the bottom of the pages are all ragged and not even. I have no idea what this is all supposed to signify. The inside covers are kind of browning, tanning, as is the back cover. Charlton's and Marvel both are notorious for that those covers will brown up pretty easily. But the thing I was trying to find there is a centerfold, which does look to be nice and solid and attached. Don't see any, you know, a few ticks here and there. And some more actually along here if you really take a look. I want to be careful I'm on the camera. So I tried to make room for more Drew here to help me, and I gotta remember if I get too far away from more Drew, I'm not on the camera anymore. And you get a little bit of a wrinkle here, and the cover does overlap, so it's kind of bent all along here. I think I'm going to end up giving this a 6. Just because you've got some, not really tears, but some wrinkling here, and that bend along there, and then just the overall, tanning. I think that's a 6. But Bionic Woman #1. Next up is Black Fury. Now, this one, I looked at this one earlier, and this one is missing some pages. I could say, here, feel this, but you can't, obviously. I counted them up, and there's 22 pages here, so I'm going to have to look and see how many pages exactly that it is missing. I assume that this was a 32-page book. It's got somebody's initials here. GDB. Hope you can see that. And it's tanning up inside. Some white paint right there. And you can see that the cover was detached. It doesn't appear to have its original staples, but instead these 2 staples have been added. And you got those same initials right there as well. So this is Black Fury #1 from Charlton Comics, and it was 1955. But that's going to be 0.5 incomplete. It's probably going to be a no grade incomplete, depending on how many pages exactly it's missing, but I would say it's missing 10 pages. And flipping through it, it looks like the stories that are here are complete. They end with the end. They've got all the page numbers. And they start okay, or seem to anyway. So I'm going to have to look up. Somebody may have detached one full complete story for some reason. But anyway, I think that's going to end up being a no grade. Missing pages. And you may ask, well, why would we even sell that if it's missing as many as 10 pages, missing its original staples? Well, again, it's a 1955 book. It's a first issue of Black Fury, and believe it or not, there are people that, there are horse collectors out there who like horse comics, not just the bronies, the My Little Pony bros, but people who actually do like, Western and horse comics. And so somebody might buy that just to read the story that is still in it, because that's not something you're going to see reprinted anywhere. Yeah, or again, just to have it, just to frame it, So, again, that's a no grade, but I think it's still worth it selling as a single, And how much do you think it'll bring? Well, it might only bring $3 or $4, but it could bring, 5, 6, 10. If I had a bunch of similar or Western books that I could put it with in a lot, I might do that, but I just don't happen to have any right now. I mean, I'm sure if I dig through our entire inventory of about, 250,000 to 500,000 books, I'd find them. But, you gotta figure the labor cost, what is more time consuming, more costly to the company to do. To just go ahead and throw that up as a single, the time it'll take to grade it and list it, or and here on YouTube to talk about it, or the time that it would take to find the appropriate books to put it with in a lot. Or you might say, well, you know what, just throw that in a dollar box, and maybe that's the better idea. So Red Circle #1, Alex Toth, 1983, the early to mid-'80s. Archie, Red Circle is an Archie imprint. Archie tried a revival of its hero line, and they're actually good books. And it's a good little run to put together. There aren't that many of the books. Most of the series lasted anywhere between 2 or 3 and 7 or 8 issues. I think the Mighty Crusaders lasted the longest at 12 or 13 issues. But I mean, if you want a good Alex Toth book for maybe not a lot of money, that's a good book. Is that Stan Lee? What the hell? Get back to that page. Yeah, that looks like Stan Lee. Did he do that on purpose? Or was it a Gray Morrow's self-portrait? I don't know. But I guess you got both Gray Morrow and Alex Toth in here. Well, no, you got Al McWilliams. Overall, this is just a nice book to have. But we have to determine the grade, so let's do that. But anyway, as I look at this, as I was saying, you can put together the whole run of those mid-'80s Red Circle books for not a lot of money and in not a ton of effort. And there's probably only about 50 issues or so. So you got a few small ticks here, about half a dozen small ticks, real small. You have to kind of look for them. A little bit of blunting here, where it's probably where somebody was holding it while they read it. A little blunting here, but not bad at all. A little bend there. Pages look okay. Covers are still pretty white inside. I think that is another book that I'm going to give an 8 to. Actually, no, I'm going to call it a 7.5. I'm going to end up calling that a 7.5 just because of the small accumulation of little. And I don't know, maybe in the light you can see there's a little bit of kind of wrinkling there. Not really wrinkling, I wouldn't even call it, but just dinging. And Brother Power the Geek. This was a book by Joe Simon, the co-creator of Captain America. And around this time, he did a few things for DC. This is 1968. This series lasted 2 issues. So it was really canceled almost before they got the sales data. You got a fold here. Some general tanning. Some folding along there. Give you a look at the inside a little bit as I move towards the center fold to check that out. And it looks all nice and tight and attached. Everything's attached there. Got some bending here. So this is one of those things that if you just looked at the front cover, you'd say, well, you've got a ding, some stressing here and here, but that all looks good. You get a tiny bend there. You might call that a 7.5, or if you were feeling generous, maybe an 8. Still got some nice gloss. And the more annoying the reflection is to you, the better the better the gloss is on the book. But there is this big bend here and the tanning on the back. So I think I'm going to go with a 7 on that. We're going to call that a 7. And, the hard asses among you might call it a 6.5, but I'm going to give that a 7. And this is Brothers of the Spear, Gold Key book. I don't think this property was revived at all during the Valiant years, was it? When Valiant was founded by Jim Shooter there in the 90s and revived Dr. Solar and Magnus and a bunch of other characters from the old Western Gold Key properties, Brothers of the Spear did not come back. And this is, of course, Brothers of the Spear number 1, 1972. That art. Not sure who did the art, but it's fairly decent. Blow yourself up. It's a poster size. What's that? I guess you could send a picture and then they send you a poster of yourself. I don't know what that is. Anyway, the centerfold's good. That's good. So tanning on the inside and the back covers. Got a little ding there, some bending. Doesn't break color too bad. You got all along here some stressing, but nothing that really breaks the color. But just because of the accumulation of it, I don't think I want to give that a 7. I think I want to go with 6.5 on that. Because these 2, and really 3 here, are pretty deep. It almost looks like the book was folded to a certain extent. And because of the tanning as well. So I think we're going to go 6.5 on that. Although, boy, I really could go a 7. And now that I think I am going to go a 7 because none of these, really look at them. Well, I guess they are fairly deep and they do kind of break color. So I better go back to a 6.5. I was right on the verge of going, what the hell, calling it a 7.